I unearthed a dark artifact in space at 3 a.m. Shocking truth behind this creepy legend. The chill in the air was thick as fog, surrounding Jason like a shroud. Rumors buzzed around him, buzzing in his veins, whispers of things lost in the void of space and the dark mysteries they carried. It was 3 a.m., the kind of hour when secrets begged to be uncovered, when shadows played tricks on your mind. Jason had always been drawn to the unknown, the kind of guy who'd rather scour an old junkyard than sleep. And that night, standing under a sky strewn with stars, he was about to stumble upon something that would change everything. In the heart of the abandoned lot, he spotted it, the sleek, black object half buried in the ground, glistening under the moonlight like an eye watching him. It was littered with strange symbols, each curve and line sparking something deep within him. Were those ancient runes? They sent a shiver down his spine, igniting fear and curiosity all at once. He knelt down, fingertips brushing against the cool surface. It felt alive, almost pulsing, as if it harbored secrets of the universe just waiting to burst free. The very air crackled around him. Then came the unnerving sound, a low hum that seemed to resonate with their surroundings, like the whispers of distant galaxies. Every hair on his body stood tall. This wasn't just an artifact, it was a portal to a realm he could only dream of. What horrors did it contain? What stories would it tell? His heart raced. What if he wasn't alone? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Jason's breath quickened, and the hum grew louder, echoing in the depths of the night. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he rose, glancing around, half expecting shadows to leap out at him. But the emptiness was just that quiet and unwavering. In that heartbeat of isolation, a pulse of dread crept in. What lay beneath this bizarre artifact? Was he about to awaken something best left forgotten? The pulse in his chest matched the artifact's rhythm, resonating deep within him. His instincts screamed, dig deeper. The night held a sinister energy, begging him to turn back, to forget this bizarre occurrence, yet he found himself inexorably drawn to the glowing artifact. It seemed to call to him, wrapped in the mystery of lost civilizations or perhaps ancient evils that had slumbered in the dark for centuries. Suddenly, a sharp crack of thunder echoed, shaking the ground beneath his feet. A light flickered above as a shooting star streaked across the sky, illuminating everything in a ghostly glow. Jason's eyes widened as he realized the truth. His life was about to intersect with a reality he could scarcely comprehend. But what was the cost? And who, or what, awaited him in the shadows? The hum intensified, splitting the silence like a cracked glass. It vibrated through Jason's bones, urging him closer. He swallowed hard, the lump in his throat heavy with the weight of unspoken fears. Each pulse of that ominous sound intertwined with the rain that began to fall, drops hammering down like urgent fingers drumming on his nervous frame. He steadied himself, forcing his trembling hands to work. As they dug into the dirt around the artifact, the cold earth gave way, and soon the black object emerged fully, revealing its entire form. It stood about a foot tall, smooth and without blemish, its surface still shimmering under the fading moonlight. The symbols etched into it morphed under his gaze, shifting and swirling as though they knew he was watching, as though they awaited his next move. "What the hell are you?" he whispered, his voice cracking. The air grew heavier, charging with an energy that seemed both electric and ancient. Underneath the unease, a flicker of excitement ignited. He was the discoverer of something monumental, something that could change everything. The low hum suddenly cut off, replaced by an eerie stillness that made the hairs on his arms stand up. A moment passed while he wrestled with his instincts, an urge to flee crashing against his desire for understanding. Just as he decided to take a step back, the ground beneath him rumbled a deep, resounding growl that sent him careening backward, landing hard in the mud. Panic surged through him like an electric current. From the dark sky, the rain morphed into a blinding light, a beam shooting down and enveloping the artifact. Jason shielded his eyes, squinting against the dazzling brightness. The ground quaked violently, sending small stones flying up around him. Heart racing, he scrambled to his feet, feeling a primal urge to run but also the insatiable pull of curiosity keeping him rooted to the spot. Then, through the overwhelming radiance, shapes began to materialize. A figure stepped out, cloaked in shadows, its features obscured yet undeniably human. Jason's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't just a figment of panic, this was real, standing before him as if willed into being by the object that now simmered like a live wire. "What have you done?" The figure whispered, its voice smooth but laced with an edge of terror. In that heartbeat, Jason felt the gravity of the moment wrap around him like chains. He had unearthed more than an artifact, he had awakened something. Something that was clearly not happy to be disturbed. The figure raised a hand, and the glowing symbols flared up once more, casting an unsettling light that made every shadow in the night dance erratically. "Wait! Please!" he shouted, his voice barely breaking free from the grip of fear. But the being stepped closer, its intentions concealed behind an unreadable facade. Jason's mind spiraled into overdrive. What did it want? Was it enemy or ally? And could he truly undo whatever had been unleashed? Was he merely a pawn in this chilling game? Before he could react, the light enveloped him again, a dizzying sensation as he felt the world twist and warp around him. Just as everything threatened to fade into darkness, he heard one last chilling whisper, "Your fate is already sealed." A jolt of terror surged through him just as everything vanished. What awaited him on the other side? Would he find answers, or was something far more sinister lying in wait? Light and shadow melded together, creating a darkness so profound it felt alive. Jason stumbled through an inky void, feeling weightless yet confined, as if trapped in an endless dream. Confusion coated him like a heavy shroud. What had just happened? His breath caught in a tight knot, heart pounding in his ears. He could see nothing, the air heavy and electric, laced with unspoken promises. Then, without warning, a violent jolt jolted through his entire body. Images flashed like lightning across the walls of his mind, flashes of a crumbling city, ghostly figures wandering in despair, symbols just like the ones on the artifact spiraling around him. "No!" he gasped, forcing his body to move, though he felt like a puppet with tangled strings. The void pushed back against him, resisting any action. "Get away from me!" A roar erupted, echoing in his skull. It was inside him, vibrating through his bones. The shadows flickered, swirling into wisps of black smoke, coiling around his legs, holding him captive. With a surge of adrenaline, Jason tore himself free, gasping for air. Suddenly, the darkness dissipated like mist in sunlight, and in its place stood the figure from before, now fully revealed. It was tall, impossibly slender, with sharp features that glimmered like obsidian. Jason's chest tightened as recognition clawed at his mind. The person wore a cloak of shifting colors, constantly changing like the surface of the artifact. The figure's gaze was piercing, flames of yellow piercing deep into his soul. "Why did you disturb our resting place?" it demanded, each word a cold blade, chipping away at Jason's bravado. I didn't know it was yours." Jason stammered, grasping for clarity. "What is this place? What is going on?" Panic strained his voice, twisting it into an almost unrecognizable pitch. "Your naivety weighs heavily upon you," the figure hissed, its expression darkening with contempt. "That relic you uncovered is a seal, a barrier to other realms. You have awoken those who should not be." Jason's mind raced, searching his memory for the tales of his youth, old legends of spirits, dimensions untold, and dark forces searching for freedom. "What do you mean?" I didn't mean to. I thought it was just an object. The figure echoed mockingly, blending shadows swirling ominously around its form. You think your ignorance justifies your trespass? The balance has been disrupted. Consequences will be severe. A chilling breeze gusted through the air, wrapping around him. The weight of realization crashed over him. He hadn't discovered something ancient, he unleashed something monumental. Desperation clawed at him. What can I do to fix this? I'll do anything. The figure leaned closer. Its breath felt like ice against Jason's skin, sending a shiver down his spine. There is a path. But it requires sacrifice, yours or another's. Jason's stomach churned, twisting with dread. His mind raced through potential outcomes. Would he have to betray someone? And what about himself? Taking a deep breath, he steadied his thoughts, weighing the odds. Before he could speak, a crack echoed through the air, like a gunshot splitting the silence. The world around him began to tremble violently, and he fell to his knees. The figure loomed above him, illuminated by a sudden and intense glow from behind. Choose wisely, it warned, as Mike felt the earth shake violently beneath him. Suddenly, he was swept away again, darkness engulfing him. A surge of panic flooded him, the final murmurs of the figure fading into the shadows. Your fate hangs in the balance, Jason gasped as the world around him shifted once more, an unsettling fear curling in his chest. What was waiting for him at the other end this time? Only time would tell, but beneath that enormity of dread lay a flicker of hope. What new horrors awaited him, and how would he ever escape the consequences of his awakening? Light splintered through a crack in reality, as if stitching together the remnants of Jason's shattered world. He gasped, the air heavy with a smoky tang and a sense of foreboding. The echoes of the figure's warning clung to his ears as he regained his footing, the ground soft beneath him like damp earth. He blinked, trying to adjust his vision. Flashes of color swirled around him, vibrant yet tinged with an unnatural hue. Was this another dimension? Every instinct screamed for him to move, but where? Where are you? He shouted into the shifting landscape. Jagged shadows flickered at the edges of his vision, teasing him, shifting like the leaves in a windstorm. Just as quickly as fury bloomed in his chest, fear swept over him, flooding his mind with uncertainty. A distant sound cut through the murky atmosphere, a low, tinkling laugh. His heart raced as he turned, scanning the horizon. The shadowy figures danced across his field of view, ethereal wraiths wreathed in dark mist. They glided silently, with eyes that flickered like dying stars, each gaze a reminder of the despair his actions had unleashed. No, Jason whispered, feeling the air grow thick, suffocating. He had uncovered something deeply wrong, a malevolence that pulsed under his skin. Sweat trickled down the back of his neck as the ground trembled beneath him, a forewarning of chaos yet to unfold. You play with forces beyond your understanding, a voice hissed, swirling like smoke through the air. A figure stepped forward, similar to the one he had encountered before, though this one seemed more fluid, more menacing. It appeared to be stitched from shadows, its face an echo of the obsidian features he found so unsettling. You brought us here. You must face the repercussions. What can I do? Jason shouted, his voice breaking. I'll do anything, just tell me how to fix this. The shadow laughed again, a sound that echoed and dissolved, akin to a fog lifting in the morning light. You cannot simply return to your mundane life. The scale has tipped. To restore balance, you must relinquish what you hold dear, perhaps your very soul. That idea sent a jolt of ice through Jason's veins. Soul? What did that even mean? Images filled his mind of loved ones, his sister's laugh, his mother's embrace. No, he couldn't lose them. What if I refuse? He whispered, heart pounding furiously in his chest. Refusal will only bring devastation. The darkness will grow, swallowing your world whole. The ground shook again, and Jason struggled to stand upright. A rift split open beside him, a maw of dark energy swirling with hunger. Dread washed over him. It felt alive, yearning. I don't have time to think, he thought wildly as panic clawed its way back up his throat. He couldn't stay. Not here. But where would he go, where could he run? With a sudden decision, propelled by desperation, he bolted toward the abyss, determined to find whatever truth awaited him. The world around him pulsed with urgency, shadows whispering warnings that fluttered like moths against a flame. Suddenly, he was swept up in the dark energy, tossed like a leaf in a storm, displaced and reformed in a hidden landscape that seemed both familiar and alien. He landed hard on cold stone, the resonance echoing through him. Jason scrambled to his feet, glancing around, breathless and wide-eyed. Towering structures half ruined and half ethereal stood sentinel, stark against the blood-red sky. The air was thick with tension, charged with unfulfilled promises and lurking danger. In front of him, a path lined with glowing symbols stretched into the distance, leading toward a colossal door pulsating with an eerie light. It thrummed with an almost magnetic pull, beckoning him to cross the threshold. The choice loomed before him like an ominous shadow. One way might lead to salvation. The other, calamity. Would he dare venture into the unknown, or would he let the dark settle back into its slumber? Make your choice, Jason, the voice murmured from the void, echoing in his mind like a dark lullaby. As he moved to take his first step forward, he felt the weight of multiple eyes bearing down on him. The wraiths were watching, waiting with bated breath. What lay beyond that door? The flickering light beckoned, but at what cost? What would he sacrifice to uncover the truth? And could he survive the answer? Jason hesitated, every fiber of his being pulling him back. The door loomed before him, an ancient relic shifting in the ever-present twilight. The symbols at his feet glowed hotter, pulsing like restless hearts. But the figure of darkness loomed close, its attention fixed on him like a hawk stalking its prey. Cross the threshold, it whispered, seductive, coaxing. You may uncover powers beyond your wildest imagination or utterly destroy yourself. The chilling laughter echoed in his mind as he wrestled with the consequences. He could feel it, the seductive whisper of power threatening to envelop him, beg him to reach for it. Yet thoughts of his family clawed at his mind. The laughter faded, replaced by tender memories of laughter with his sister, bedtime stories with his mother, the smell of his father's old leather jacket. Could he really gamble their lives? He took a step forward, then a sharp roar from deep within the building shook him to his core. It was a sound born of fury and agony, a primal scream that hung low in the air like rainclouds before a storm. The ground quaked violently beneath him. He staggered, heart racing, pulse pounding in his ears. Jason, the shadow figure spoke, almost soothingly, you are teetering on the edge. Perhaps you haven't realized that the abyss you seek is not just behind that door. It's within you. Was it possible? He clutched his head, waves of confusion washing over him. Could darkness seep through him as easily as light ran from shadows? With a sudden burst of adrenaline, Jason forced his feet forward. He crossed the threshold, propelled by a mix of dread and resolve. The moment he stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind him with a deafening crash, echoing like the end of a chapter. The room whirled with colors, swirling energy enveloping him like tendrils. He was in a vast hall that sparkled with ethereal light, stretching infinitely in every direction. Crystals protruded from the walls, casting prismatic beams, the air hummed with an electric thrill, vibrant and buzzing. But in the center of this beauty lay a pedestal, and atop it rested a small, obsidian sphere, gleaming ominously. Jason felt a magnetic pull, a compulsion to reach for it. His heart raced, echoing the urgency around him. No! Not the sphere. A voice echoed through the hall, this time a different voice, visceral and warm, like a protective embrace. It was the voice of his sister. Stay away, Jason. She cried out, straining against the invisible barriers that separated them. The shadows warped around her, distorting her image. You don't know what it is. Jason faltered, his hand hovering inches above the sphere. But I have to know. I have to don't. Don't touch it. The words thundered through the hall, ricocheting within him. But the pull was overwhelming, terror seeped through his fingers, mingling with a tempest of longing. Just then, the stability of the room began to fracture. The walls shook violently, the light flickered ominously, and dark tendrils started to lash out from the shadows, advancing like hungry serpents. Jason. His sister's voice strained, growing fainter as the chaos grew. You must fight it. Don't give in. He was lost in a tempest of swirling emotions, fear, desperation, anxiety mixing with the allure of ultimate power. Time slowed as he felt the possibilities unravel before him. Do I reach for the darkness? Or do I fight against it? As the shadows surged closer, their whispers crescendoed in his mind, promising him strength and glory. Jason's breath quickened, heart racing toward a decision that felt too monumental to bear. Could he disentangle himself from this vicious web? With a sudden resolve, he drew back his hand, but the moment only came as the shadows lunged forward like a pack of wolves in the night. Random beams of energy shot through the hall, and as the sphere pulsed with life, a memory sparked in his heart, igniting hope. Then everything exploded in a blinding flash, drowning him in darkness as he vanished back into the void. Where would he emerge? And what price would he pay for his choice? Jason gasped, the world crashing back into focus. He lay sprawled on a cold, hard surface, his heart pounding like a drum in his ears. Darkness enveloped him, thick and oppressive. Panic gripped him, but amidst the dread, a vivid pulse of light drew his attention. He pushed himself up, squinting against the dim glow emanating from a crack in the wall. It shimmered like moonlight on water. The air felt different here, heavy yet electric, tingling against his skin. It was familiar, yet so unsettling. His surroundings slowly came into view, a chamber lined with ancient stones, worn by time and teeming with creeping shadows. Jason, the voice came again, clear yet distant, like echoes bouncing off unnaturally curved walls. His sister's voice, closer than before yet still cloaked in uncertainty. Where are you? Jason called out, the sound fragmenting into the darkness. It felt as if he couldn't escape the walls that whispered secrets he wasn't ready to hear. Each step he took felt deliberate, filling the air with tension. He approached the faint beam of light, and a twisted reflection of himself shimmered within it, pale and shadowy, as if he were looking into a dark memory. Fear coiled in his stomach. That could be him, twisted by the very essence he sought to uncover. Don't go near it. A voice thundered from behind, making Jason jump. It was the figure from the Hall of Crystals, and now a silhouette of swirling energy that flickered furiously. You don't understand what you're dealing with. The shadows danced restlessly around him, hissing between the cracks of the stones. He couldn't shake the feeling that this place, this cavern of secrets, was alive, watching, judging. His thoughts raced back to the obsidian sphere, its magnetic pull, the promise of power. Had he really stepped into a trap, or was this his chance to break free? Jason. Again, the voice of his sister pulled him back. You have to resist. It feeds off your fear. The room shuddered, and in an instant, blinding light erupted from the crack, filling every crevice with brightness. The shadows screamed, sharp and discordant, slashing against the walls, and chaos entwined around Jason's heart. It was the raw essence of the abyss he had felt before, throbbing with life yet buzzing with danger. He reached out toward the source, instinctively moving toward the light against his better judgment. No. Fight it. His sister's voice roared, but the call was muffled by the howling chaos. Hesitation held him, the shadows tightening their grip as if sensing weakness. But something within him battled against the urge to flee, the need to protect his family, to reclaim control. Just then, images flickered through his mind, memories of warmth, laughter, and safety, his mother's embrace, the summer nights spent under starlit skies with his sister. They had to be safe. Jason. Another voice shattered the cacophony, a voice he recognized but had never expected to hear again, his father. You must choose. Don't be consumed. A glimmer of clarity surged within Jason, breaking through the chaos. No more running. He narrowed his focus, understanding that in this moment of turmoil, he had the power to fight back. The shadows coiled tighter as if seeking to smother this resolve, but he pushed forward. With a sudden thrust of will, Jason reached into the light, tearing through the darkness that threatened to engulf him. The moment his fingers brushed the radiant glow, everything shifted. Time froze. Energy surged around him like an electrifying wave, and he felt free, unbound and weightless. But then, as quickly as it began, a rippling force responded, pushing him away. The walls lurched, and he was yanked back, spiraling once more into the void, the screams of shadowy figures mingling with the whispers of familiar voices. He could feel the struggle materializing inside him. As he tumbled through the darkness, was he truly escaping, or walking deeper into ensnarement? His heart raced in sync with the chaos. Blood surged in his ears, and in that instant, he realized the choice was his to make. But what? Would it cost him his family, or himself? And then everything snapped. What would the shadows demand next? Would they take something more than he could ever wager? Jason felt the world around him shift violently, as if the very fabric of the air was being torn apart. Darkness melted into a swirl of piercing light, but the brightness didn't bring comfort. It was blinding, overwhelming, and streaked with the colors of his deepest fears. Jason, don't let go. His sister's voice cut through the haze but felt distant, blurred by the throbbing energy that surrounded him. He fought to stabilize himself, his feet finding ground, though his heart felt unmoored, adrift in a storm. Before he could think, the shadows lunged again, this time with a fierceness that clawed at his very soul. A writhing mass of darkness emerged, shadowy tendrils reaching toward him, hungry and malicious. Jason recoiled, instinct kicking in, but a voice echoed through the chaos, "You can control this. You have to fight." That voice, tinged with desperation, belonged to his father. It filled Jason with a surge of determination, igniting a flame of resolve in his chest. Memories rushed back. His father, wise and steadfast, had always taught him to stand tall against the storm. The shadows stung, tearing at his consciousness, but he refused to falter. Clenching his fists, he focused on the portal of light, now pulsating with promise. Jason stepped forward. "I'm not afraid of you," he yelled, surprising himself at the defiance in his voice. The shadows hesitated, as if taken aback by his boldness. Seizing the moment, he thrust his hand deeper into the light, where the memories of laughter and warmth swirled around him, their essence now tangible. The room trembled, the shadows writhed as if they felt the life he was harnessing. "Remember who you are," whispered his father, as images of family filled Jason's mind, their warmth, love, and laughter igniting courage within him. With a cleansing breath, he clenched his jaw and focused again, forcing the memories into the light as though manifesting a shield. Energy crackled around him, growing more intense. The shadows screamed, caught in a backlash of their own creating. Jason's mind sharpened, he was no longer a victim but a warrior in his own story. "Fight!" he shouted, his voice ringing out like a battle cry. "You will not take me." In response, the shadows surged forward, a tidal wave of dark fury, but Jason stood firm. Light erupted from his hand, illuminating the space, banishing the shadows that sought to consume him. Reality collided as walls cracked, thunderous echoes rattling in the chamber, and then, a gut-wrenching pull yanked on his chest, a force dragging him toward the ground. He stumbled, the shimmering light quivered, and with an explosive burst, he was thrust to his knees. A pulse rang through his mind, the voices of his loved ones now a chorus of strength. "Jason!" they cried. "You must choose." All around, shadows coiled, malicious and expectant, as if they were waiting for a sign of surrender. Jason's heart raced. Was this where the abyss would finally claim him? Was the light a deceptive parlor trick, masking the real danger? With a surge of desperation, he grasped the memory of his family tightly, fueling his defiance. "I will fight for them," he whispered, stealing his resolve, but the shadows weren't finished yet. They roared and twisted painfully, transforming into silhouettes of familiar faces, each telling him he was alone, each asking him to yield. Doubt seeped in. Could he face that darkness alone? Just then, the voices of his family broke through the storm. "We are with you." With newfound strength, Jason screamed into the void, "I choose them." At that moment, he felt the boundaries of reality bend, a final explosion of light erupting from his outstretched hand. As the darkness writhed and struggled, Jason's heart raced, ready for the confrontation he would have to face. Did he truly possess enough strength? Would the shadows retake him? The light flickered uncertainly, and, at that moment, as silence fell, a chilling realization surged in his mind: this battle was only the beginning. What else awaited him on the other side of the abyss? Jason gasped as the light erupted around him in a blinding frenzy. The shadows shrieked, retreating at first, recoiling from the purifying energy. He could feel their malevolent force pressing in around him, but it was different now. He had shifted the tide. Yet, as the light flickered and fluctuated, doubt clawed at the edges of his mind. What had he unleashed? Had he truly quelled the darkness, or merely awakened something far worse? From the depths of the darkness, a low, rumbling growl snaked through the air. It reverberated in his bones, a sound of ancient malice that chilled him to the core. The walls shook, dust raining down like ash from a forgotten fire, and all at once, Jason was suffocated by the smothering weight of fear. The shadows flared and twisted, forming a towering figure that loomed over him, a grotesque silhouette of everything he feared. "Jason," it rasped, the voice an ominous cocktail of whispers. It was a sound that echoed through his mind, tapping into the very linchpins of his insecurities. "You cannot escape me. Leave me alone." Jason shouted, fury fanning the embers of his courage. He raised both arms, channeling the remaining light into a barrier in front of him. It shone outwards like the sun breaking through a thunderstorm. The light felt warm against his skin, a stark contrast to the cold dread wrapping around his heart. "You think you can fight against your own despair?" The darkness hissed. Tendrils lashed out, wrapping around his wrists, pulling, tugging, trying to anchor him in a numbness he had fought so hard to rise above. Each tendril felt like a memory, a regret, a lost moment that had held him captive for too long, but then he heard them again, his family. Their laughter, their words, in a sweet symphony that pierced through the chaos. "Fight. We believe in you." He squeezed his eyes shut, grasping onto their voices like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. A swell of warmth surged within him, igniting the memories until they blazed brightly. "I'm not afraid," he screamed, flinging the light outward. It was a wild surge of energy, fueled by love and anguish. The darkness above him screamed, the tendrils recoiling in pain as if burned by the unyielding brightness. "No. You cannot." With a rush, Jason tore through the oppressive darkness, bursting toward the portal of light beyond. It flickered faintly, but it was still there, a beacon of hope that beckoned him forth. Every ounce of strength he could muster propelled him closer. But just as he thought he was escaping, the figure extended a single dark finger toward him, the shadows stretching and wrapping tightly around his chest. "You can never truly abandon me," it echoed, hatred dripping from every syllable. "You and I are bound. You cannot break free. I will find you again." Jason stumbled, gasping for breath, his heart pounding as he faced the truth wounding him like a dagger. This was not just a fight against external darkness, it was a battle against the very essence of his own fears. He had to confront the shadows weaving through his soul, the ones that told him he was not enough. Suddenly, he felt a shift. The warmth of his memories shifted, and beneath the weight of darkness, something inside him flickered, an ember of determination. "I choose to face you," he shouted defiantly, signaling the depths of his resolve. But the shadows twisted, morphing into a grotesque image of his greatest self-doubt, a reflection of his insecurities. Would they swallow him whole, leaving him trapped forever in their twisted embrace? As he pushed forward, challenging the shadows with his light, the ground beneath him surged violently. Would he make it through the portal, or would he fall deeper into the abyss, forever haunted by the darkness within? He didn't know, but one thing was certain, the battle had only just begun. What sacrifices would he have to make to emerge victorious? The light pulsed wildly, and Jason could feel the sharp sting of shadows tugging at his very essence. His heart raced. He focused on the portal, its edges shimmering with promise. Each step forward felt like moving through an oncoming storm, dangerous but necessary. With every ounce of willpower, he pushed back against the encroaching darkness, the cries of his doubts a cacophony that threatened to drown him. As he neared the portal, the towering figure above him surged forward, its grotesque form fluctuating like a nightmare. "You'll never escape," it rasped, and Jason felt its breath against his skin, cold as the grave. The moment sent ice coursing through his veins. Panic threatened to seize him, but the voices of his family rang louder in his mind. They believed in him. With a final, desperate lunge, he thrust his arm through the portal's edge, the light engulfing him in an explosion of warmth. For a heartbeat, he felt weightless, as if he might be freed from the shackles of his past. But then, just as quickly, everything collapsed around him. He landed hard on his back, breathless, the familiar smell of damp earth filling his nostrils. Jason sat up sharply, looking around, disoriented. The light had dimmed, replaced by a twilight that crept in like a thief. He was no longer in the clutches of that darkness, but the shadows clung to him still, whispering doubts like old friends. "Where am I?" he muttered, glancing around. The landscape was alien yet familiar, a twisted amalgam of his memories. The trees were bare, their branches clawing at an ominous sky, clouds swirling ominously, threatening to unleash a torrential downpour. His feet stumbled across a cobbled path leading deeper into the forest, each step echoing in the heavy silence. Why was he here? Panic threatened to engulf him again. Had he just traded one darkness for another? Then he heard it, the chilling echo of his own name, tender but twisted, a cruel mockery. Jason, it called, wrapping around him like a shawl made of thorns. He followed the sound, heart pounding, drawing closer and closer to its source. Every instinct urged him to turn back, but he had faced the worst of his fears. He wasn't about to yield to this new terror. As he pressed forward, shadows danced around him, a malicious chorus murmuring tales of his failures, his regrets, the choices that had led him here. "You think you're stronger now?" they taunted. "You've only begun to scratch the surface of your pain." Jason clenched his fists, feeling the warmth flickering within him, but it was waning. He needed to find the light again. Suddenly, something cold brushed against his leg. He jumped back, startled, and bent down to see what lay at his feet. It was a smooth stone, glinting with an otherworldly shimmer. He picked it up, feeling an immediate jolt of energy like flickers of lightning coursing through his palm. "Take it," came a hushed voice, not from the darkness but from within. Was it his own mind offering guidance? Or was it the shadows attempting to deceive him again? Clutching the stone tightly, Jason felt an unfamiliar force surging through him. Could this be the key to confront whatever lay ahead? A shiver of resolve ignited as he remembered why he had fought so vehemently before. "Bring it on!" he shouted, the defiance echoing back from the depths of the forest. But the ground trembled beneath him, and the shadows thickened, swirling violently as memories of his own fear gathered like a storm cloud above. Something was coming. Something far worse than before. And it was hungry for him. Would he harness the power of the stone, or would he succumb to the shadows closing around him, threatening to swallow him whole? Jason took a deep breath, readying himself for the confrontation ahead. What awaited him in the depths of this darkened world? Jason stood tall, the stone pulsing with energy in his palm. It felt like a heartbeat, steady and alive. This was not just a stone, it was a conduit of hope, a light in his encroaching shadow. "I will not yield to you," he shouted into the murky depths surrounding him, his voice ringing out with defiant clarity. The shadows recoiled momentarily, and for a heartbeat, silence enveloped the forest. But that silence shattered as a grotesque figure materialized from the darkness, a monstrous blend of his worst fears, an echo of every error he'd ever made. You think you can escape? You think you can defy your own soul? It cackled, its voice a sickening blend of Jason's own doubts and regrets. Jason's heart raced, but he refused to back down. He focused on the stone, letting the warmth seep through him, grounding him in his purpose. I'm not afraid of you. You can't control me. He thrust the stone forward, eyes locked on the creature. The air crackled with energy. The shadows snarled, a swarm of dark tendrils lashing out, but Jason steeled himself, channeling the power surging from within the stone. The moment he unleashed it, a brilliant light erupted, cascading through the shadows like the morning sun breaking through the night, illuminating every crevice, every inch of murky darkness. The figure screeched, thrashing as the light engulfed it, the shadows twisting and unraveling like smoke in the wind. Feel what true strength is. Jason roared, every ounce of fear he'd carried now channeled into an unwavering resolve. The shadows screamed, flailing against the onslaught of his light, but it was no use. The energy swelled, pushing deeper, forcing the darkness back with unyielding ferocity. As the light intensified, the creature began to fragment, its horrifying visage scattering like ash. Jason felt a chilling sense of release, as if chains binding him for decades were finally shattering. The shadows, once clinging to his soul, now shrank away, retreating into the forest with anguished cries, but even as he felt the tide turning, a sobering thought pierced through his joy. The struggle might have ended for now, but darkness was a relentless cycle. This doesn't end here, Jason whispered to himself, catching his breath, and in that stillness, a familiar voice emerged from deep within the recesses of his mind. You must be vigilant, Jason. It was his father, a guiding spirit lingering between the remnants of the shadows. Darkness will always seek a way back. You've faced a part of it, but you have more battles ahead. I will fight. I'm not afraid anymore, Jason declared, his heart steadfast. The shadows, now distant echoes, wrapped around him one last time, a reminder of what he had fought against. But he would not be a victim. He had reclaimed his power. With that, Jason turned toward the flickering light ahead, a pathway illuminated by hope shining through the trees. As he stepped onto the path, he felt his family's presence with him, their laughter, their love, a resonant chorus that steadied his heart. Each step felt lighter, an unshakable sense of purpose fueling him forward. As the dark forest retreated behind him, sunlight began to pierce through the canopy ahead. Jason took a deep breath, the warmth filling his lungs with promise. He might have unearthed a dark artifact, and he may have awakened ancient horrors, but he also found something infinitely more powerful: his own strength and determination. He was not alone in this fight, and he would continue to confront the shadows. This was only the beginning, and he was ready to write a new chapter in his story. Jason emerged from the shadows, stepping into the light, his heart wrapped in a profound sense of hope. Everything that had happened, every narrow escape, every moment of doubt, it had brought him here, to this crossroads of possibility. He would embrace the journey ahead, and as he walked forward, unwavering, he knew darkness would always exist, but as long as he chose to stand against it, there would always be light. This is the moment, Jason thought, as he stepped into his destiny, that truly began. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any of our exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to help the algorithm shine a light on this tale. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Jason's incredible journey. And finally, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Do it now, don't wait even one more second. Your support makes all the difference.